Hi guys, I just want to give you a quick update because it's been several weeks since I put out a video and I've had a lot of super sweet subscribers reaching out to me, making sure I'm doing okay, and providing tons of supportive words and super sweet pep talks and kind things to say about my situation. So just to recap, I recently kind of put two and two together after seeing a number of doctors, and basically I was having things like urinary urgency and incontinence and insomnia, and I was feeling super cold all the time, and I wasn't recovering from any of my athletic injuries. What else? I was super bloated and constipated all the time. I was extremely fatigued and irritable, and I was losing all my motivation and energy, and yeah, it was just really out of sorts. Lots and lots of weird, seemingly unrelated symptoms. But after seeing a urologist for those issues and a PT for, my exercise issues and the urinary urgency and such, I saw a pelvic floor therapist, and I saw a GI specialist for the constipation and bloating, and I was seeing a nurse practitioner and my primary care physician, also an endocrinologist and a fertility specialist, trying to figure out what the heck was going on with me because my hormones were so low. I hadn't returned my period after I had my child, and then I was breastfeeding for 3 years, and then I still haven't had my period return in the past almost 2 years since I've stopped breastfeeding. So all of these complications were going on, and finally the fertility specialist was able to show me that my FSH, my LH, my estrogen, my testosterone, and all of those hormones that basically lead up to those hormones are all very low and not functioning properly. So those are all signs of something called hypothalamic amenorrhea, as well as REDS, or relative energy deficiency in sport. So those are two separate things, but kind of related. I'm having an expert come on next week to explain the specifics of these two conditions, and kind of give you a better understanding for how common this is, and how things like intermittent fasting and exercising on a fasted state, and eating a low-calorie diet, low-fat, super low-fat diet, all of these things have been extremely detrimental, and it's definitely something that I have a genetic predisposition for. So, don't feel like this totally relates to your situation if you're feeling, similar symptoms, because a lot of these symptoms are very common. But if you feel like if you have any inclination that you are under fueling and over exercising, or both, or one or the other, or super stressed out, that can also cause these symptoms and this issue with the amenorrhea, so which is a lack of periods, for anybody who didn't catch that. So I basically, to recover from this issue, I have to go what is called all in. So I have to completely get rid of all of my rules and dietary restrictions, except obviously I still can't eat gluten because I'm gluten-free because I have celiac disease. But all of my self-made rules, like I can't eat until a certain time, and I got to stop eating by a certain time, and I got to exercise before I eat, and I can only have this amount of grains and this amount of fat, and I can't touch any, all those rules. I'm getting rid of all those for the unforeseeable future until I get my period back and recover my bone density, and my my pulse was down to a 44, and that is just ridiculous. And all of the athletes think that, just generally that we think that having a low heart rate and low blood pressure is a really good thing when you're exercising all the time, but sometimes it can mean you're under fueling and your body is down regulating all of those autonomic processes, like your blood pressure, your heart rate, your digestion, your sex drive, all of those things that are not fully necessary for ongoing sustainability. So even your body temperature drops significantly. All of those things that your body can like start toning down. So the way that I think is super helpful to look at it is on your phone. And when your battery starts to die, it lets you know that it's going to start shutting down all those unnecessary functions so it can, you know, prolong your use before it dies. That's kind of like what's happening right now. My hypothalamus is shutting down all of these different bodily functions to conserve as much energy as possible because I was under fueling to that extent. And honestly, I had no idea I was doing this. This is very unintentional. I just love to exercise, and I honestly thought that I was reading the research properly that explained that, you know, having 2 meals per day and having a really short eating window and fasting for a long period every day and exercising fasted, I thought all of these things are going to help my health because I'm always trying to improve my autoimmune symptoms from my celiac and whatever else I'm suffering from now. I have some arthritis in my neck, apparently, perhaps from this HA condition. But anyway, I know I'm giving you guys a mouthful, but I'm really excited about where I'm at right now. This was a really scary journey. I'm about 5 weeks in now, and getting rid of all those rules around food and not exercising. I mean, it's been a very big transition, but it's been all for the better. I'm in a much better mood, and I have regained some of my hormonal normalcy, I guess we'll say. And just little by little, I feel like I'm becoming myself again, slowly but surely. So, let's see. I will try to put more updates out here and there. I did do a hiking video that will be coming out recently. I know I wasn't supposed to be hiking in my condition, but it was, guys, this has been very difficult not to exercise. But I think what I want you to gain from this video is just to understand that all of the science out there and all of these recommendations that we hear from different doctors and different experts about what we should be doing with our health, it's very important to take everything with a grain of salt and look into everything and make sure you look at all the caveats. Because, for instance, when it comes to fasting, many of those studies were apparently done on men. So that does not take into account how sensitive female hormones are. And for exercising fasted, people also do most of those studies on men. And for just having a low calorie density diet in general, having like a slight calorie deficit regularly, that has been confused with potentially having low protein and low fat content in your diet, not calories altogether. Apparently, having enough calories is super important so you don't experience all of this downregulation and all of the osteoporosis and atherosclerosis and mental decline as you age as a result of starving yourself unintentionally or intentionally and over-exercising to the point where you are literally starving because you're not getting enough food. So I know this all sounds a little crazy, and I'm still trying to walk myself through it, but that's basically where I'm at right now. I just want people to be very careful with the recommendations I've made on this channel, and moving forward, I will make sure to provide all those caveats. But for all of my viewers who are trying to lose weight in a, how do I say this? In a manner that's more appropriate. So for me, it was for like health and longevity. I thought I was trying to improve my internal well-being and my external well-being. But apparently I was doing the opposite. But for people who truly do need to lose excess weight for their health, I think it is important to take some of these measures to some degree, not to such an extreme the way I was doing them. After I met my set point where my body was happy, I shouldn't have kept going. I felt like I had to like continue all of these crazy behaviors long term to maintain my health, but that wasn't the case at all. So just try these tools and see how they work for you. Don't take anybody's word for it. Just listen to your body and use yourself as your own experiment. I think that's so much more important than listening to different data from different studies and not understanding the population basis for those studies and the different caveats that are involved. Because when people are talking about fasting and exercising fasted and hit high intensity workouts and all of these things that we presumably think like anybody and everybody can benefit from, or the general population, it's actually just a very small cohort of people, like people who are obese or overweight or hypertensive or diabetic. Those are the types of individuals that can really benefit from these things. But for somebody who doesn't have insulin resistance or hypertension, for instance, it's not super helpful to be fasting and eating at a very small feeding window every day. I was fasting for about 18 hours every day and eating for about 6 hours. So now I'm eating first thing when I get up in the morning because my body's recovering. That's another thing. When you lose weight, you're not just losing fat, you're also losing bone mass. You're losing different percentages of the tissues from your different organs, and yes, muscle and protein. So take into account that everything that we know about the human body is still relative to how long we've been studying these things. So we pretend to know a little more than we do sometimes, and by we, I mean the collective, like all the researchers, all the experts out there, all the scientists, we're still learning. So again, I hope this video makes sense, and I hope to come up with more of these in the future. So I hope to get back to this more regularly. But until then, make sure you subscribe if you're interested in following my journey or learning more about what I am learning about this experience and about weight loss in general. I'm going to be looking further into the Minnesota starvation experiment and doing a video on that coming up soon, as well as different I'm trying to get different experts on my channel to kind of discuss some of these things, like the fasting and the exercise and such. So look forward to that moving forward, and I will see you in the next one.